Good evening, good evening. It is another Sunday to talk about magic. And tonight we got a great episode lined up for you guys. Thank you very much for joining the Variable Play Network. This is Sunday Night Magic. My name is Javi. And today I have, for the first time, it's 11 episodes and I finally have guests. So joining me tonight, please introduce yourselves. We'll start off, sir, with Sir Freddy.
Okay, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Freddy from Ludus Distributors. Of course, we're talking about Magic releases,
It's
upcoming
awesome.
Magic releases. So I'm really excited with all the stuff that's coming up, and I think both Javi and Jake are also as excited as I am.
Oh, yes. Yes, I am. And speaking of Jake, please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I am Jake. I'm just another VP person that you get to see on other shows, but this time around it's Magic release season, and that's a magical time of the year. So magical time of announcement. So I want to join Javi on this show.
Yeah, magical time. All right, yeah. So today's topic is there was a recent presentation made by Magic the Gathering and Wizards of the Coast, also known as the Showcase 2021. So I prepared all of the announcement and materials that they have here. So we'll be going over each announcement, and I definitely wanted some guests on the show that would have other things to add in and share about these things because you can't have a hype train on your own, man. You need a group with you. So
You can try.
yeah, you can try. I know. So this is actually nearly, I think, 28 slides long. So this is actually pretty long. So let me go ahead and jump into the first topic. And pretty much the announcement starts with the next coming set. And that set is going to be Innistrad Midnight Hunt. So based on the announcements that they put out, the previews will be beginning on September 2nd, and the release date is set for September 24. I don't know if the release is going to be like simultaneous around like all the countries, but definitely there by the end of September, everyone should be able to have the new Innistrad set. And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the third time that we're going back to this plane.
Yep.
Yes, it
Yep.
is.
The
Of course,
second
but
time
this
was
time
the
we're
Eldritch Moon.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
then this is the
Shadows
third
over
time.
Innistrad, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
to give everyone just a little bit of an idea of what you're going to be looking, what you might be able to see. So here are a couple of the cards that they already put out. We have some returning, like alternate versions of previous cards, like Champion of the Parish is like a tribute to Champion of the Parish. They have their theme again of the number 13 showing up. So I don't know how to pronounce this if I got it right. Triskaidekaphile? But basically, again, it deals with the number 13. And interesting enough, Flashback is making a return. And they're bringing back Renin 6, also now known as Renin 7.
Yeah, more Ren. I think my insight into this show will be I'll be the lore guy because I really love magic lore. So you mentioned this is the third time that we've gone back to Innistrad. So interesting how they've designed Innistrad. They've always had some horror inspiration to it, as you've mentioned, right? So the first time we went to Innistrad, it was gothic horror. That was sort of their overlaying theme in the original Innistrad. And the second time we went to Innistrad a couple of years back, it's cosmic horror. So it's like Cthulhu type horror, and that was what the Eldritch stuff, and that was what's it called, the Zendikar monsters, the big cosmic monsters.
The Eldrazi.
The Eldrazi were there. And then in this third time, interesting, it's got a Midsommar vibe. Have you watched that movie
Oh, yeah.
Midsommar? It's sort of like this summer festival that they've kind of turned into this horror type angle on it. It seems that's what they're going for in this expansion. So if you see a lot of the humans, it's like they're wearing all of this midsummer type attire.
Yeah, it's
so
all
it's interesting.
ceremonial, right? That's
Ceremonial,
right.
interesting, right?
Sir Freddy, coming from like the previous sets, like
Mhm.
I think okay, Flashback is included. They had others like abilities like Delirium. I'm trying to remember some other ones, but are there any particular abilities or things that you're looking forward to in an Innistrad set?
Well, before I talk about abilities and stuff, ang interesting sa akin, no, the first time Innistrad came out, ito yung kainitan nung ano Twilight,
Yes, that's why I kind of
werewolves
hated
and
the set.
vampires. So it was, I think, that time talagang they were riding on that
Hype,
uh,
hype machine.
yung machine, yung Twilight, werewolves versus vampires. And
Mm-mm.
ganun yung team nila dun sa, that's how they marketed Innistrades, werewolves versus vampires. And I think itong Midnight Hunt, they're going back to that werewolves versus vampires.
Yeah.
And as far as mechanics naman, I think I like the ano, yung flip cards.
Oh, the
Na-
transform.
Yeah, the transform cards. I like that. I like that. Of course, it's logistically harder while you're playing, but ang solution nga is yung proxy cards na the commons the tokens. They replace the tokens with the proxy cards to facilitate that flipping cards. So yun yung mechanic siguro na I'd like to see back kasi you know transforming werewolves.
Yep. But the one thing that made it a little difficult for, of course, for flip cards was like the draft environment because
Yes.
you're passing a card that technically is double sided. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, those are. I mean, I really like the transform cards, even to the from the vault transform.
Yeah.
And I think this set, as Sir Freddy mentioned, it's werewolves versus vampires. I guess you're gonna touch upon it, Javi. This Innistrad set is sort of a dual set, right? That they're
Right.
doing Midnight Hunt in like now, and then a couple of months later, a Crimson Vow.
Crimson
So
Vow.
Midnight Hunt is supposed to be the werewolf set, and supposed to be there's tons of werewolves in this one. We haven't seen any previews yet of the standard werewolves, but there's supposed to be a lot. And then Crimson Vow is supposed to be the vampire set. So exciting.
Yeah, funny enough, like Sir Freddy mentioned that they banked on Twilight for this, but Werewolves versus Vampires is also technically the Underworld series,
Yes,
and I
Yeah.
don't know
exactly.
why they didn't go with that instead. why
Well,
why
they
did they
didn't
go with
they,
sparkly vampires?
they didn't really go with sparkly vampires na nagkataon lang na yun yung mainit that time.
Yeah,
But definitely
well,
the magic Innistrad is much darker, I guess. Mas malapit
Yep.
siya sa underworld style than
oh yeah,
Twilight.
definitely. Yes, I mean the setting for like the Twilight series was modern times, so this
Mhm.
is really like a step back into like a different time period, so to speak. But you know what? Actually, something also for collectors to look forward to in this set, just to add in just a little bit. They will also be bringing in 10, that's two for each basic land of these weird, very grim black and white full art
Cool.
lands. So if it's your art style, I think that you'll really appreciate it. I do like the really sparkly full art Zendikar lands, so I'm happy with that. I'm not sure if this was meant for like me in terms of black and white, but it definitely has a like creep factor to it.
Cool. And the black and white, I don't know if you're gonna show it later, Javi. They have another product in the Innistrad line. It's the sort of like the draft booster pack,
Yes, yeah,
draft
that's
booster box.
it's part of
If
it
you
as well. That's right.
if you're gonna show it later, that's also going for this black and white thing, right? So maybe that's one of their motif for Innistrad this time around.
That's right. All right, so there, pretty much as I mentioned earlier, it is previews will start September 2 for this, and then the set is expected to be released by the 24th or the end of September. So moving to the next announcement, which Jake already mentioned, is the set that will follow it is called Crimson Vow, and this will be set for November 19. So it's gonna be almost like back-to-back expansions, really. Like just when one is done and you've bought enough boxes, another set comes out.
Yes.
So I guess
This is an
I'll
interesting
throw that
release.
question out. Have you got how do you think people are gonna like accept or work around like back to back releases? I know that it happened recently with like um Time Spiral Remastered and another set that they were so close together when they were released.
Yeah, I think that
Uh,
was a stand. I think that was Zendikar, like a standard set, and then Time Spiral right after, something like that.
yeah, this is an interesting release. Like sabi nga ni Jake, before, if there's two releases that are close to each other, one would be a standard set and one would be a
Some
modern
other
set.
supplementary
Yeah.
set.
So it this is the first time that there's gonna be an almost back to back standard set. So I'm not sure how it's going to be accepted, but I think still really depends on the set, and considering it's Innistrad. Innistrad has always been popular, and the first two iterations of Innistrad. So I think that's what they're banking on, and siguro ito, yun nga, we're speculating right now that one set's going to be, like Jake said, one set's going to be focused on werewolves and one set's going to be focused on vampires. So we're not sure how the market is going to respond, but if they were going to experiment on something like this, I think Innistrad is a good uh, setting for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, considering that there's only really like two opposing factions, so to speak, in the set. Like humans are just literally the food in this set.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I think the success of a back-to-back set will depend on what the actual cards are inside each
Mhm.
set, because there's speculation already that between the two sets they will share some cards. Maybe the commons will be shared. Some of the commons will be shared. So I don't know how that affects your desire to buy booster boxes, knowing that you're gonna get repeat cards between two expansions, right? I guess to some people the rares is what matter, and I would
Mhm.
imagine the rares will be different between the two sets. But then there's some consideration of overlapping cards. I think that's what people are expecting between the two sets.
Yeah. Well, definitely there's going to be like, okay, we're talking about vampires and werewolves, but there's definitely going to be, let's say, humans. Innistrad also brought in devils. They also had, let's say, like zombies for the undead. So, like, there are definitely going to be like different like creature types, and
Yeah.
of course, abilities that might be like more appropriate for either Crimson Vow or Midnight Hunt. So, but that doesn't mean that they can't cross over and sort of have like a shared pool of creatures.
Correct. Correct.
But actually, speaking of that, also, which you did mention a while ago, that along with the set, after the release of Crimson Vow, so when both sets are already introduced into standard, they will be bringing in Innistrad Double Feature. So this is set for 2022. So this is after both sets are released. And basically, they're going to take a pool of cards from both sets and are going to turn it into a draft set.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. I love draft. And again, a bit of history. Among all the sets in the history of Magic, the original Innistrad set is widely, if you ask draft addicts, they will say that Innistrad is like one of their top three sets. So Innistrad has always had the pedigree of being a very good draft set. So hopefully with this release, they continue that sort of reputation of Innistrad of being a good draft set.
Oh, it looks like
Yeah.
people know that what you're gonna be buying, Jake.
Oh, Luvin, I was gonna react to that on the chat on my phone. But yes, Luvin, meron na tayong konting funds. So,
You know,
mapapaikot na natin yung pera natin.
I know that they went with the black and white theme, which you brought up with the lands, but I really like the whole double feature, sort of like horror movie drive-in like
Yeah.
theme that they have going with it. So, aesthetically, I like how it looks. I'm just interested to see like what cards are going to carry over or be combined into one set, because this means that both sets almost get automatic reprints.
Yep. 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 Yeah, and then I guess that if that wasn't clear, double feature is gonna be combined Crimson Vow plus Midnight Hunt, and then they curated whatever they're gonna add here to make like a good draft environment.
Right.
So we'll see. I don't know what they're gonna do, and then there's supposed to be a unique art treatment, a black and white art treatment.
Oh, okay, so that I didn't know about. So they are putting special art treatment into the cards themselves. Okay, that's
That's what they're saying. So they're saying there's a special art treatment, but then that spectrum of what art treatment means could be something as simple as turning everything into black and white, or something as unique as actual different art.
okay. But you see, this is only going to be draft. So there's no set boosters. There's no collector boosters for this.
There's
It's
none,
just, yeah, it's just going to be purely draft boxes.
and what I hear is this is only going to be available to local stores. That's what they
Mhm.
said in their press release. So you can't get this online. I don't know how distribution works when they say it's just for local stores.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that
what's
reserve ready can come
interesting
in.
what's interesting with the recent releases is there's been more set boosters being sold than
Mhm.
draft boosters. So
Mm-hmm.
I think kaya nila ginawa itong double feature is because they specifically to address the the limited players, the draft players. So ang nangyayari usually, like for example, there will be areas like for example sa states and even locally na mas konti yung lumalabas na draft boosters for the newer sets. And I think it was also an adjustment on the side of Wizards of the Coast dahil nga nagkaroon ng pandemic. So they weren't expecting a lot of people to be, playing in store. So they shifted towards set boosters, and I expect the same to happen with the future releases na set boosters in focus. And they didn't want to lose the limited players naman because makikita niyo rin even during that presentation, they're going back to in-store play. So kailangan nilang ibalik yung draft booster. So kaya nila siguro ginawa itong specific product for the limited players.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I from what I understand, even down to like the gift boxes, they're replacing the packs inside of it into set boosters.
Yes.
Oh,
So
I've heard
I
set
think it's
boosters have been
because of that.
super.
Kaya sila gumawa ng specific product for drafting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the popularity of set boosters has been going really well because there's really a higher chance for like double rares, even triple
Mhm.
rares. So, in terms of the common and uncommon level, that's actually where it gets a little tricky. But for like rare hunting, it's so much better than draft packs for sure.
Yeah.
All right, so this actually closes the topic specifically for the upcoming sets. But just as Jake mentioned a while ago, that for double feature we'll have alternate art. We're going to be stepping now into the realm of specialized art, which is also known
Ooh.
pretty much as the secret layers. So for the
Ooh.
secret layers, the super drop that is scheduled for pretty much the last half of this year is known as the out of time super drop. There are two versions of it. The foil version has 4 sets, while the non-foil has 5 sets. And pretty much we'll talk about the difference in the later slides here. But there's really only one major difference. So first secret layer is known as Kamigawa Ink. And it is going to have a non-foil, and it is also going to have a traditional foil version. So pretty much what you're seeing here is sort of like a watercolor art style, very traditional Japanese art motif. I know that like Denmark was particularly excited for this. I just happen to own all 5 cards, so I it's not for me. What about you guys?
I personally have tried to avoid secret layers because they are a money sink. And I can't. But they're perfect for people who I think for commander players because they really love blinging their decks, right? Me, I just want as if the cards are available to play in the standard set, I'm happy with that. But that just means I'm not the target market for this.
Okay.
Yeah, I also see secret layers as people confuse secret layers as something that's a must buy, and then they'll complain that what he's coming up with too much stuff. But if you really look at the secret layers, they're really optional, and they're
Yes.
not must buys. Like what Jake said, and you said, meron ka na itong mga cards na to eh. These are only for people who want to bling out their decks, or just like absolute completists. So these are optional sets, and then they're nice to have, but they're not a must-have. So that's
Yeah.
how I look at secret layers.
Yeah, the one
But
thing also is that I noticed that it's one of each color that they're doing for this specific set, which I appreciate because they've done some other ones that just don't ever feature like one color or miss out on certain cards. And mind you, this will technically have a sixth card. Like there's always like a bonus card, and there hasn't really been any announcements yet, but I am like excited to see what else they're gonna throw in here, and other people are excited as well, apparently. Hi, Mars.
Kamigawa.
All right, so this is the first one of the Super Drop set that has foil and non-foil. The next one is the Secret Layer Teferi's Time Trouble. So this is only available in non-foil. There will be no foil version to this, and it's only 3 cards. Well, okay, fine. Plus one underneath it. It might even just be a stained glass planeswalker. But funny enough, these are 4 planeswalkers reprinted in the absolutely old and confusing way that Ice Age cards used to be.
Yeah. It's so cool though to see the old multicolor border. I mean, brings back memories, man.
Yeah. This is like an old Alliance rares, basically.
Hmm.
But you know what? I just have to point out that it's very, very painful, and I don't know why. Why did they put Dak Faden? They killed him off in War of the Spark, and now they're making a card for him. It's just sad.
Are any of these like heavily played in Commander? I guess that's another
Oh,
thing that gets
Karn and
commented on,
Teferi
right?
both are. Yep, Karn and Teferi. Actually, all three. Because Dak Faden has the amazing ability to just steal any artifact. So he is very used.
Oh.
Teferi, your opponents can only cast sorcery speed. It's great.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Karn, all of your opponent's artifacts lose their activated abilities. So each of them have their place in Commander. All right, so let's move on to the next secret layer. So following that, we have the one of two artist series. This one is from Johannes Voss. So this is only featuring 4 cards. So there it will be potentially a 5th card. Not sure if it's going to be in his art style, but this will be in non-foil and foil. Um, 2 particular cards get my attention here. So Carpet of Flowers was reprinted under the list and is still actually a pretty high value card. And Sanctum Prelate, which was time retro reprinted in modern in Time Spiral remastered as a buy a box card. It was just reprinted and now it's coming out again. So they're really, I don't, not necessarily printing it to oblivion, but the price of this card has significantly dropped because of the amount of reprints. Even Karmic Guide, which used to be a few hundred, is now, I believe, like a 50 peso card at this time.
Yeah, but
It
secret layers print run are quite low. So as
Yeah.
far as affecting secondary market prices, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But I appreciate the way the artist series of the secret layers are done, and I think it's a nice way of highlighting specific artists na iconic for Magic the Gathering.
Yep, agreed. I mean, later on, when we get to one of the upcoming expansions, I know Jake recently posted that we actually have like some local artists that are contributing to Magic
Yeah.
lore.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
nice to have like a secret layer for one of them one of these days. That would be something that the Pinoy pride.
Oh, for sure. That will be quite popular. And I love how there's so many secret layers, and that's actually one of the complaints against it. But I think from Wizards' perspective, it's such a low risk product for them to produce, right? They can think of a theme, and if there's a niche market for it, then that market is very happy. But for Wizards, they just basically printed 4 cards, and it was an experiment on their part. So I think secret layers are great for this purpose.
Yep. I mean, it's bringing in reprints, not necessarily like in the form of core sets or any way that would require you to buy it. But, if you are really looking for the card, if you're a fan of the artist, if you're going that extra mile to get it in your collection, then, I mean, that's what the secret layer is for.
Yep.
Hey, and we have another viewer. Hey, Marco. Hope your
Hey,
recovery
it's
is going
Marco.
well.
Yeah.
All right, so we move on to the next secret layer, which is the second artist series. This is from Thomas Baxa. So this is also four cards being added in, available in foil and non-foil. We have the Sliver Hive Lord, Spellskite, Obnixilis. So another Planeswalker, but this one in a normal Planeswalker printing. And my favorite card from all four, the Sire of Insanity. So this is again another of the five that is coming out for the super drop or the four foil super drop. Sir Freddy,
Mhm.
question also, like I guess like they did change the way that the secret layers look now. I think that people were talking about like the size of the boxes and such. Do you feel that this would have any impact in like for like retailers or people that might like go into secondary market for this?
Secret layers kasi don't they're only sold direct through the Hasbro website. So they don't go through retailers, but there's definitely a secondary market for it. So what happens is some people order it and then just sell it on the secondary market, especially like for markets like ours where not everybody has access to purchasing stuff online, lalo na kung overseas. May ganon. So I don't really think too much about the secret layers because they don't go through the regular distribution channels. So
Okay,
yeah,
well, yeah,
yeah.
agreed. So, well, let's do one last, and that pretty much closes the secret layer discussion. And this is the secret layer math is for blockers. So I'm not really sure what they were going with that because, like, I guess these creatures are borderline expendable, or that they want to die, or that I mean, there's some kind of reason behind that, I suppose. But so this one is back to five cards. These are cards from different sets all put together. Be it something like as from Cold Snap, like Oran Frostfang from the Eldraine set. I think Thragtask was from a core set, if I'm not mistaken, and Vindictive Lich was even from a commander set. So it's a very strange collection of cards. And as you can see, three of them are green. There's no white and red representation.
I
Yeah.
think one of the things they tried here was the art is supposed to look some kind of mathematical. Like
Mhm.
the blue one is like a, I don't know, a right triangle. I don't know.
Yes.
And then some of the art is more like a certain curve. And then I saw there in the comments that the toughness of the creatures line up with the value of pi. So it feels like you need to be very smart to appreciate this this secret
Oh
layer.
wow! Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
That just seems a little too meta. Oh, so here, yeah, okay. Chum brought it up. Interesting. They
Yeah,
made the power
exactly.
toughness of the creatures line up their values of pi.
I didn't
Okay.
even know that. Oh my god. Chum, you're very smart.
Thank you, Chum. Yes, yeah, we've learned something tonight. And
Oo
hey, we
nga,
have
'no?
Ron with us. Hi, Ron.
Hey
Thank you for
Ron.
Hello,
joining.
Ron.
All right, so that pretty much closes the secret layer announcement. So as I mentioned before
We
the
have a
start,
quick question.
sure.
Across all the secret layers, which one is are you most excited? And is there any of them that you're sure to get?
Sure to get? No, to be honest, because I own
Oh,
most
okay.
of the cards. But I do like the Planeswalker reprint just for aesthetic purposes, and also the artist series that has Carpet of Flowers, only because it's really one of the most used green cards in Commander.
Okay. So it still comes down to commander for you.
Oh yes, that is the only reason why I am playing. So again, there will be a four set super drop that comes at a discounted price, and that is for the four foil sets, or you can get five, which is including the Teferi set, which is non-foil. And there's even a version that combines both super drops. I guess if you're really just trying to buy for a large group, so that's something that people can look into. Now, taking a step away from like direct purchase from Hasbro, the next announcement is specific for the store level. So we are moving towards Magic Store Championships. So they announced that they will be introducing this around December. So December 4 and 5, they will be having now store championship events. Participation will get you an Arbor Elf. I noticed though that they didn't put the foil templating on the preview card, so I almost assumed that it's a non-foil. And followed by that, if you make the top 8, collected company, and if you happen to win the store championship, you can get a Wormcoil engine. And apparently, if the store is a WPN registered store, their name will also be printed on the card so that you can show where you won the card from.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's an interesting use of technology on their part to customize it and to make it more special for the players and the stores that support the product. So I really like that fact na ilalagay nila yung pangalan ng store. I think that's a nice touch.
I mean, I'm interested to find out how. I'm thinking it's gonna be like the pre-release text, like it's on the bottom of the art in gold lettering.
Yeah, it's probably going to be some kind of foil stamping na they can do after printing the cards. So it's a post printing process, I guess. And I don't think it's really going to be part of the process when they're actually printing these cards. But I'm just guessing.
And I guess the other thing I was thinking of is there's gotta be a lot of stores, right? So are they like gonna print like 20 copies for a specific store and then 20 copies for another store? That seems like a logistical manufacturing
Well,
nightmare.
it depends first how many WPN stores
So
will
so
like,
is that
qualify.
limited? Ah, okay. Oh, okay. So I was just wondering, like, it's not. It's got to be either a big number or whatever number. That's why I'm saying it's got to be a logistical manufacturing nightmare.
You see, and Ron brings up a point here. You see here, right here, now you want to collect from different stores. This is turning into Pokemon. You're going to be
It's
going
like
to
Pokemon.
different gyms to go win some Wormcoil engines, and you got to collect them all.
That is cool. Oh no, you put the idea in my brain now.
Gusto mo ng set tas iba-ibang pangalan yung nakalagay, di ba?
Yeah.
Oh. Tapos
But you know-
mas malalakas yung mga players dito sa store na to, so mas maganda tong Wormcoil engine ko na to. Mas malakas yung mga tinalo ko dito.
I think as early as now, for anyone that it has like their LGS, that talk to them and see if they are registered with the WPN. That if these prices are coming to that store.
Cool.
But along with that, they did mention and they've already put out a teaser for something that they are calling the Commander Party. So this is actually going to be coming out with the Innistrad sets with Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt. So October 30 to 31, they will be having Commander parties. They haven't announced what promos they're going to be giving away, but they said that the mechanics work in that you will be assigned a faction. And while you're playing your Commander games, they're going to like make announcements like who has the most life, who has the most creatures in play, and basically they're going to like use that data to like move the story and have videos playing in the Commander party events, so that like your actions in the game have like a direct effect to like a story that's being told. I don't know how the stores are gonna pull it off.
I cannot imagine that, but
Medyo hindi ko pa rin masyadong gets yan eh. But I'm assuming it's going to turn into some kind of legacy board game. They probably
Yeah.
took a page out of legacy board games.
It's
And then
definitely gonna be
something
like
like
a
that.
choose your own adventure.
Yeah, so I'm even thinking na what happens this week will affect next week and
oh,
stuff like that.
cool.
Kasi nga sabi nila narrative driven siya eh. So
Right.
and I think Commander is it's a good because it's not that competitive, especially if it's a group, you're playing in a big group. It's not as competitive as a one-on-one game. Of course, we have competitive players in Commander, but
It's
the
true.
very social nature of a commander multiplayer commander game lends itself to this. Eh. So we'll see what actually happens. But they've been asking stores to have television sets uh,
Whoa.
in the stores, so that may be part of what they're saying. Bakit they now expect WPN stores to have TV inside the store. So I don't know how they're gonna use it. So we'll see.
I hope it's at the quality of, like, you remember the War of the Spark trailer? I hope that
Yes.
it's at that kind of quality level. That would be great. I know that in the past they've done like the maze run that for Dragon's Maze, that everyone who played in the pre-release represented a certain faction in
Mhm.
Mm.
Ravnica, like a guild, and like your wins made your guild move up like a maze path. I think even for Zendikar they had like a
Mhm.
giant hedron that would open up with
Yes.
prizes in it. So I guess they're just maybe embracing the digital age in a way.
They did that also for Mirrodin, right? Where whether it was the Mirrodins or the Phyrexians who were gonna
Yes.
win.
Mhm.
But of course, I think that's kind of pre-decided who's gonna win. But I remember something similar in that era.
So definitely something to look forward to. I mean, if everyone can return to the shops, I mean, I am actually very interested to get collected company. I have Arbor Elves and I have a Wormcoil, but I don't have collected company. So like I will play the top eight. But sure, if you ever get a Wormcoil with the name of your LGS, that's like definitely like point of pride. So we move on to the next announcement that they made, which is again for a different format in Magic. This is Pioneer. This is the first time that they are going to be printing pre-constructed decks at a, I'm going to say, semi-competitive level already. That it barely needs any upgrading for the Pioneer format. For those of you that are not familiar with Pioneer, this would take the Return to Ravnica set onwards as legal sets, with the only exception of fetch lands being banned.
And I was gonna just comment on that specifically. Like, I don't know how popular Pioneer is here locally. I guess I maybe in the US it's a more popular format. And honestly, I also get confused on all the formats already. So Pioneer, there's also historic, right? But
Yep.
from history, like they have a equivalent set release like this for standard, right? Challenger decks, standard
Right. That's why
challenger decks,
the Challenger decks were really meant for standard. And
standard.
what
Eh,
Pioneer is, back in the day, they used to have a format called Extended, that it would take
yeah.
standard and the blocks that were just recently left behind, and so it was like 1.5, like instead of just being in standard, it still allowed
Mhm.
you to play recently rotated sets.
Yeah, yeah. And the only
Mhm.
thing I was gonna say was, in terms of if we're gonna compare it to the standard challenger decks, there were some decks there that were really good value, as I understand it, and could really compete in within the standard meta upon release. So hopefully it's similar here. Some of the pioneer decks could be as competitive out of the box instead of like being like short of the important rares and everything.
Yeah, what's interesting about this particular release is this is the first release that's specifically for the Pioneer format. So that's very interesting. That means that there's going to be a direction to push this format
Hmm.
specifically for not only with releases but also probably with organized play. So that's what is most interesting for me with regards to this particular release.
Agreed. And so these decks, I mean, as you can see listed, there is Azoria Spirits for blue and white, Orzhov Auras black white, and it includes like the cover art cards alone are actually very sought after cards. SRAM is the representative apparently for Orzhov here, and then Mono Red Burn, and a tricolor deck, which is very interesting for Lotus Field combo. And
Mhm.
later on, so this is for October 15, but next year, they are also expected to bring in new standard challenger decks for 2022. So it means this is just I guess they deviated from the usual standard challenger to bring in the pioneer decks, but they're still gonna bring standard decks nonetheless. So still something to look forward to. Right, next announcement. So following this, let me go ahead and pull up the next one. So after the Pioneer decks, next is they are bringing out another side product known as the Commander Collection. So there was Commander Collection Green, and now they are making Commander Collection Black. I have this set up in a different visual aid. There usually is 8 cards to be included, so you can see the top 7. The 8th card is actually a double-sided Liliana, so it's a transform planeswalker from the Magic Origin set, and then a double-sided snake and zombie token that's included for free. It brings in some very sought-after black cards like Phyrexian Arena, Reanimate, and then, strangely enough, another Sol Ring, but black themed, and a command tower that looks very ominous. So, this one is going to be available very soon in standard and foil, but with no specific dates provided in the announcement. Are either of you black players?
Depends.
Yeah, it depends. I'm not particularly, you know, drawn to black as a color, but, lalo na sa draft, kung anong bigay sa'yo, yun yung lalaruin mo eh. Di ba?
True.
And the draft usually black is the color of removal.
Yeah.
So that's where you want when you know you're in black, you're the guy who's like has like 3 removal cards in his hand all the time.
Yep.
So that's what black is.
Well, me, I'm actually looking forward to this for specific cards that I do not have yet. But the other stuff like the command tower, Sol Ring, and stuff, I can technically do without. So this is again, well, another thing that will just really help, I guess, for people looking for reprints of specific cards or those that really just wanna like pimp out and theme their deck to black. So next announcement is the upcoming releases. So we have the timeline for the entire 2022, basically from quarter 1 to quarter 4. The very first announcement, so I'll just jump to the next slide here, is the very first set, which is actually a returning set, and this would be Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So Jake pointed out there, Brian Sola is a local Filipino artist. So good job, Brian.
Pinstripe Demon. Not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
not yet. That's next. But so
next.
basically, so Sir Freddy and me kind of had a little bit of a talk about this before the show started, and as you can see, it's not your traditional fantasy a fantasy realm or setting wherein you're using like medieval structures. It's very, very bright and has more of a level of progress in the technology that's being depicted here, which is very interesting. Thoughts?
It's not Tolkien. I think that's what you're trying to say, right? Because
Sure.
most of the fantasy has always been like Tolkien based, and then this is the first time that we're doing a bit more modern, as you said.
Yeah, very Fifth Element.
Yeah, it's
Very
sabi nga ni Denmark just now, it's cyberpunk Kamigawa. It's definitely giving a lot of Shadowrun vibes.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
there, yeah,
Cyberpunk.
Shadowrun.
Yeah, cyberpunk. So I really like what they did with Kamigawa, moving it forward 2,000 years. So modern na siya. So I think this is a good move because this expands the what Magic is eh. Because Magic
Mm.
has always been like parang medieval fantasy na ganun. But Magic, if Magic isn't restricted to a time period.
Right.
Diba? So
Correct.
I think this is a good move. And
Correct.
so this is very interesting, and this frees up this frees up the creative space for Magic the Gathering with the direction that this set starts. So I'm excited. I really like it. And what's interesting then na napag-usapan natin kanina uh, is yung Kamigawa when it first came out, like I think mga almost 20 years ago. I
Years.
was really excited because it's an Asian themed set, and this is going to be the first set na Asian themed. So I was really excited. But when the set came out, of course, medyo it was lackluster. And it's interesting that
Yes.
sometimes looking through the lens of nostalgia, even Kamigawa is cool right now, di ba?
Yeah,
But
there's just certain things like don't bring back sweep, don't bring back channel, no soul shift, none of that crap, please.
Yeah. And the thing I just also want to add, no, that you're right. Everything you've been saying is right. Now, this is something new that Wizards is embarking on. And that's something I've really appreciated with, I guess, this modern design team of Wizards. Na parang every year, they're trying new and new things. Not everything works. Some of those cause formats to break. But they're always not afraid to try new things. So obviously, this Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is the first time we're seeing a futuristic set, as we mentioned. So this is them again testing the waters and see how the market will respond. So obviously, based on if this is successful, it will decide if they will do more of this. But one thing I've also learned from how Wizards thinks is they love their data. They love their marketing data. So I'm sure they didn't do this experiment without getting any like information first whether how the market will react. So I think they felt like the time was right for in 2022 to start for Magic to start exploring other fantasy realms beyond just traditional
I
fantasy.
somehow feel like they decided to capitalize on the failure of the cyberpunk video game.
Ang galing no
Like
ng
we'll do it
timing.
right.
Ang galing ng timing. That's why they say the PR agency that probably provides data to Magic is probably the same PR agency that provides all the other game developers out there. Kasi parang pare-pareho minsan yung timing of certain themes.
Right. So a couple of comments here. So for the artist Brian, okay, so Asia Pacific College, all right, awesome. And yes, there
Ooh,
is a origami raccoon on his shoulder. That is correct.
that's so cool. So cool. I love it.
But you know
I
what?
love
Sir
it.
Freddy brings up something that I find very interesting. That if the setting is 2,000 years ahead, will they make reference to previous characters in a way kind of spoiling what happens to them? Like imagine
I'm
if in
sure.
the set there is a monument to someone, that means that we know that they have passed away. Specifically planeswalkers. Because if it's just legendary creatures, 2,000 years, yeah, they're not gonna live that long. But
Mhm.
they might reference like maybe Tamiyo, like she's
Mhm.
from Kamigawa.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. They'll have callbacks to previous because Kamigawa was also known to be more of like the legend set, right? It had like
Right.
lots of legends, so I would assume that's something they will carry forward into this current set.
Mhm.
I
And
wonder
who
how Kiki Jiki the Mirror Breaker will turn out in a cyberpunk setting.
I'm not sure also if we're gonna see a lot of spirits in this set. Because yun that's one of the main themes of Kamigawa
One main
was
tribes,
Yeah,
no,
the
Sir
Kami.
spirit.
Freddy.
Yeah.
Main tribes. One more
So
thing I'm gonna mention about something really cool about this. Like Kamigawa is supposed to be the Japan set technically, right? And doing this, moving Kamigawa forward 2,000 years, is also in a way just the perfect representation of what Japan is right now. Like it used to be like a super ancient society known for their culture, etc. And now they've become this modernized society that still has a lot of callbacks to their old culture, right? So that's how I expect and what a lot of people expect Kamigawa will be like. It will be like this modern reinterpretation of Kamigawa with a lot of callbacks to their original culture, just like Japan.
okay, fair enough. So moving to the next set, following in the next quarter, we have the streets of New. That I'm gonna say, Capena. Is that how it's? They did not give any announcement of how it's
Kapena.
pronounced. Capena.
I don't know. Hindi, Kapena. Doon sa announcement. Tama. Streets of New
Okay.
Kapena. Sabi nila.
So interesting that this is set in a world that was built by angels, which was then abandoned, so to speak, and taken over by demons that represent tricolor factions, which leads me to believe
Ooh.
that they might be bringing back possibly the shards of Alara.
Shards. Yep. 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 And renaming them again, by the way. Just
Yeah,
like
just
how
like
they
they did with the schools of
with
Strixhaven, right?
Strixhaven, they're gonna give us another renaming of the shards. And I'm sure the thinking behind the design will say is there's always more than one way to interpret the shards, and this is how we're gonna interpret them now in New Capena.
Okay, yes, someone's very excited.
Pinstripe
Mga fans
Demons.
ng Godfather diyan. Tsaka ng
Yeah,
mga
man.
Yeah, because this is like a running joke that we had on the news show. That when we showed this picture, and the immediate reaction of a lot of Magic players was, "Is the demon wearing pinstripe pants? I don't even have my own pinstripe pants. This demon is well mannered enough to own pinstripe pants.
He's very dapper.
He's very
Mm.
dapper. So, nakahawak
Yeah,
pa siya sa
so
chest niya. Very dapper.
I like that they're kind of going into this whole boardwalk empire theme, and it's gonna be like
Yeah, it's so
more or
cool.
less gang warfare, but with demons.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Yeah.
this is
So
also, sorry, go on.
Yeah, actually, like Neon Dynasty, if you notice, itong New Capena, medyo iba rin yung time period niya,
Yeah,
'di
mhm.
ba?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct,
So,
correct.
like I said, I really like this direction because it opens up a whole uh an even bigger area for their creatives to work around with. Kasi ngayon
Correct,
they're not tied to one specific era. Eh. So this
correct.
is what 1930s,
20s, I think.
1920s,
20s.
30s.
Yeah, and actually something that was brought up
Prohibition
by one
era.
of the comments here, apparently that this particular plane does also have significance to the character of Elspeth. But Elspeth,
Yes.
okay, Elspeth was already killed off and somehow resurrected in Theros Beyond Death. So, um, yeah, I guess that she technically still has a role to play in Magic.
Exactly. And we don't know, I was researching on this a bit. We don't know Elspeth's home plane right now, as per the lore. So she's been in Shards, I guess, in Alara. She's been in
Mhm.
Theros, but we don't know where she came from. So maybe this is her origin plane?
I think that she was first introduced in Alara under the Bant
Correct.
realm, but yeah, she
Yeah.
wasn't from there, right?
Correct.
Oh,
Correct.
here, this is
Correct.
actually a good point too. Bioshock, that's right.
BioShock, yep.
Oh,
Yun
cool, cool,
yung
cool.
background niya, medyo parang BioShock.
Right, right. It actually has that look of like, those big bands like for like
Mhm.
lounges. Like think
Yep.
like I think like that's I
Jazz,
keep going
jazz
back to like
lounges.
Boardwalk
Speakeasies.
Empire,
Yeah.
Mm.
but like even the mask is set in this kind of world.
And
So
this is the one where I have like the least. I don't know what's gonna happen here. Like I
right,
think
that's
I
it.
think
There's so
must
little knowledge.
there's so little knowledge. So actually, this is the one I'm most excited. Like spoiler, this is the one I'm most excited for next year.
Yeah. I also am most interested about this kasi talagang yung even Kamigawa, still Kamigawa, 'di ba? But this
Mm,
one is like there's no there's nothing before it that where you can have some idea of what it's about,
Yeah.
correct.
'di ba? And
The
then
only
even
thing
yung
that
sabi
comes
nilang
to
hint
mind
about
is
Elspeth,
Ravnica.
we have no idea how
Yep.
Elspeth's connected to this world because Elspeth doesn't even look like she belongs in this world, 'di
Yep.
ba?
Right.
So
And
The
look,
how
they
do you
only
have
thing
tell
that
machine guns in this world,
yeah,
right?
oh my god, if
Exactly.
they introduce a Tommy gun as an equipment.
yeah,
Exactly.
and it looks
So
like you'll see demons holding Tommy guns and riding those cars
yung
from the
mga
1920s, mga ganun, di
classic
ba?
cars.
So it would be interesting. Tapos meron silang mga Al Capone, parang Prohibition era. Tapos we'll see if meron din silang mga yung mga parang untouchables na,
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
mga
they're
Godfather.
gonna have like they're like
di
Dirty
ba?
Harry or
So we'll
like
see
Yes.
what the theme is. So this is really interesting.
yep.
Ito
Yep.
yung talagang parang pinakang malaking question mark sa akin. On
out
I
of
don't know what to
nowhere.
expect.
Right. The only thing that I have in mind is like you know how Ravnica is a plane that is totally developed. It's like a giant city. So
Mm,
when they say streets of New Capena, that tells me that it might be like a fully developed world that there may not be much in terms of like wild lands and territory anymore.
correct. Correct. So how would green look like, right? Because green
Mhm.
is usually related to what is natural in that specific plane. That's usually how they show green. So we don't know. Maybe green
Right.
is like
Yung mga
the
parks.
mga
Yeah, it's
parks.
probably gonna be yeah, it's gonna be parks. I'm so sure parks and gardens.
Yeah, pwede. Or like in Ravnica, like the Golgari are the sewer people. So
Yeah.
you don't know how they're gonna do green here.
May mga alligator sewers siguro sa mga sewer
Ah, cool.
alligators,
Oo
things
nga.
like that.
Just like New York lore, that there's like alligators in the sewer.
All right, so following the next quarter, so on quarter three, we are going back to Dominaria. So Dominaria United. So this is going to be technically okay. The original Magic sets all took place in Dominaria. We took a step away from that when they moved into like I believe like okay, Mirrodin, Lorwyn, all of the other worlds already was outside of Dominaria, and then there was a full Dominaria set where we finally revisited the original storyline, and we're going back again. I'm actually excited only because I want another Joyra card.
I'm also excited, but I'm not sure what kind of Dominaria we're gonna see here. Like the last time we left Dominaria, the theme was Dominaria is healing because from all the wars that Dominaria experienced, and we were coming back to a war torn land, but it's starting to heal. So I have a feeling Dominaria United is gonna be like this feel good set. But of course, there's always gonna be like some trouble brewing, etc., etc. But this is where like Dominaria is like back in full strength type of set,
Right.
I think.
It also kind of leads me to, when they did War of the Spark and they had Nicol Bolas as the main antagonist, and so many sets of like building the plan together, culminating into that story. That who is the current villain?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm hoping that this is the set that's sort of like gonna build on the story again because like Eldraine's villain is Oko. What happened to him?
Yeah.
And Theros Beyond Death, like they made a planeswalker, the green white guy. Nothing. I don't even remember his name.
I have a theory. I have a theory where they're going with this one. I
Which
think
is probably
eventually.
the next set.
Yeah, no, but that's because yes, exactly. Because it seems like they're laying the groundwork, even in the Kaldheim set, that we're going. There was the green Phyrexian, right? So
Right.
it seems like they're setting the groundwork of making the Phyrexians the big bad again, sometime probably in 2023. So we'll see that. And it's interesting. I've also followed the Magic designers and their various social media accounts. Gavin Verhey, in his like YouTube account, released a video related to Phyrexians out of the blue right before the announcement video. This announcement
Oh.
video last week. So he talked about people who are like experts in the Phyrexian language within Wizards of the Coast. So people were like, "Huh? Why are you releasing this now, Gavin? Are we going
See,
back to
I don't know.
Phyrexian?"
That might be bait again because even like for Strixhaven, they were hinting that there would be a Jin Gitaxias and it didn't happen.
Yeah. I know. But okay, so I don't know. But it feels like we're going back to Phyrexian at some point.
Right. So following this on quarter four, pretty much closing out the year, we have the Brothers War, which might actually explain what's going to happen in Dominaria.
Yeah.
So I can see in the center of the art one very specific character that I am very looking forward to see in another broken card for sure.
Do you think we finally get an Orza Planeswalker card?
Well, technically, one of the unsets did have him already.
Oh, right, the head of Ursa. Do you think this is the set where we finally get Like I don't want them to do it actually. As a lore guy, I don't want them to do it because Urza is an old walker, right? He was pre-mending. He was supposed to be like super powerful compared to the other planeswalkers.
They
So
can technically make one, but it will be his artwork on the front and all of the planeswalker abilities on the back. Because he's not gonna have like the typical 3 loyalty. He has to have like 6.
yeah, exactly. And this is supposed to be like a flashback set, right? This is the first time we're gonna have be
Oh,
like
if
a
it's a flashback set, then they might do the Modern Horizon route. That it's sort of like earlier versions of them, so that they can technically underpower them.
oh yes, because they've already confirmed it. This is going to be set during the Brothers' War, so it's gonna be a historical set technically.
Mm. Yeah, but the original Brothers War set, yung the Urza
Antiquities.
sets, they were already historical
Mm.
sets. They weren't
Ah,
they weren't ano eh. They were already it was already a parang
past looking at
past.
the past.
Oo, yeah. This is keeping in that tradition. So hindi naman
Yeah,
siya ano
first time.
kasi yung it's kind of like yung ano ba yun, yung antiquities ganun din when they released
Mm.
that. It's kind of ano. So it's in that same theme, I guess, na parang history siya of Magic rather than
Oh,
telling of a current history, current story.
okay. See, I thought it would be like moving the story forward. So if this is a revisit, then that means that this will have at least a lot of very interesting characters that we already know.
Correct. And then vehicles, ooh, mechs, ooh, we're gonna have all of these weird. They're gonna break standard again. Oh no, it's another artifact set. Oh no.
Don't worry, man.
Yeah.
You see everything there in the air. That's just ornithopters, man. All right, so
Pero
this is
lagi
actually
yung mga artifact sets become problematic.
oh, di
yes,
ba,
yes
Sir
they do.
Freddy?
But actually, it's good that they finally adjusted that by making colored
Colored
artifacts.
artifacts.
Yeah, so it's almost they lost some flexibility, which makes them easier to control.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But colored artifacts wouldn't make kind of sense.
Yeah.
Story-wise,
Yeah,
for this specific story kasi talagang hindi yun
well,
yung ano nung
technically, black artifacts, the germs for living weapons and stuff, still kind of fit into the Phyrexian theme. For the other
yeah,
colors,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
questionable.
Yep.
Complete. We are now complete.
I
So-
don't know if we're also going to see a lot of reprints with this set
Pwede.
kasi some of the old cards that's already out there, we might see reprints.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. That actually, this might almost end up being like maybe a core set, so to speak, because it's just bringing back a lot of like old pieces, maybe.
No, the core set idea. I think that's what's gonna happen to Dominaria because the core set is usually the 3Q set, diba?
Yeah.
So that's what they were thinking. Na Dominaria United is probably the easier, simpler set. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that makes sense. Jake.
Oo. Tama, di ba, Sir Freddy? Mas
Yeah,
mas straightforward
that
kasi yung
makes sense.
Dominaria eh.
Yes.
So that pretty much covers the 4 sets that they announced. Now, how does it look in terms of the Magic timeline? So pretty much for standard rotation, we are currently running a total of 8 sets that you can see here on current standard. So that is taking 2019, 2020, and 2021. But as the next standard, as you are moving to 2022, will be dropping Eldraine, Theros Beyond Death, Ikoria, and M21. And then those 4 sets will be replaced with Kamigawa, New Capenna, Dominaria, and Brothers War. So there's still no logos for, I think it says, well, no logos final. So we'll see what the expansion symbols look like once they have it. So this is also pretty much going to have a direct effect on MTG Arena in terms of the rotation also of the sets.
Yep. And I think a lot of people are looking forward to Eldraine dropping out in standard. That's what people are excited to see because every other like standard deck right now is like a souped up Eldraine deck, I think.
Yep.
Right.
It's all those two
So
for one cards that really
Yeah.
breaks the game. Eh.
So it'll be an interesting new meta once
mhm.
rotation comes.
Mm.
Right. And so pretty much that the four sets and this is pretty much encompassing standard right now. The other
Right.
announcements that they have is outside of that already, and these ones are very interesting. So the very first announcement is, just a little bit of fun information that the next unset is known as Unfinity, and pretty much will be again another silver bordered set for people to enjoy, which will probably have really good borderless lands, almost certainly.
He confirmed, Mark Rosewater confirmed that they'll have Shocklands here.
Oh yeah, that's right. There is Shocklands. It's in the announcement. That's correct.
So this will be Shock, but this is set in space. So he's saying it's Shock Spacelands.
I don't know how that's gonna work, but you know what? Just seeing that weird acid trip looking Ajani in the background.
Exactly. Man, what did he do to my boy, man? What is he doing?
Sir Freddy, I mean, can you talk about this? How has the success rate of the unsets been locally?
Uh, the unsets have had a weird history locally. Uh, like for example, yung mga first few sets na unsets, they didn't really sell well when they came out because well, they're not tournament legal and the people were only interested in the lands. Nobody really wanted to, there's only a few oddballs that really wanted to collect the sets that because it's fun, but majority ng players natin dito, they're more of the serious type. So they're not into collecting the unsets, but yung mga sumunod na unsets, because I think Magic also what he also realized that you have to put some value into the sets to make them sell. So yung mga sumunod, they're easier to sell for the retailers and also for us sa distribution dahil nilalagyan na nila ng value cards yung mga sets. But unsets are always fine. They're fun and it's a nice break and I like playing it with people who aren't too serious.
Okay, I remember the days when they had like the night of the hokey pokey, where you
Yeah,
literally had to do like a dance to
dance.
prevent
Yep,
damage, or that
yep.
they had the Wrangler Minotaur that had denim walk.
Yeah, I always have fun playing unsets sa limited eh. Because you'll see lots of stupid things
Hmm.
happening. Like people barking like dogs, going under the table, or doing silly stuff. So yun yung masaya dyan eh. So it's always fun in limited.
What I actually look forward to in these sets is that there's always a rare card that somehow becomes applicable to normal sets. Like there was a card called the Cheese Stands Alone, that if it is the only permanent you have left on your upkeep, you win the game. And it became Baron Glory. It became a real playable card.
Yeah.
So
And,
it there might just be an exception again.
and on that point, Javi, well, so Sir Freddy made a good point that they're making these unsets more valuable now. Another thing that I noticed in the previous sets is they're using it as like a design ground for potentially wonky mechanics that later on that they can refine into something. So I remember in the previous unset they had this mechanic wherein two cards can combine and overlap
Mm.
and sort of like a pre-mutate kind of concept, right? And now we have mutate in Korea with cards actually overlapping and becoming into
Yeah,
one
right.
big Godzilla creature. So I'm also curious that this time they're not just thinking about of unsets as a wonky set that anything goes. Sometimes they try interesting mechanics that they can apply in actual constructed standard sets.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah, Sham
To
said
answer Tom, your
this is
question, it's gonna be a draft set for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's another way to sell packs. I think, right? They make it a draft set so
mm,
people open the packs actually.
yeah, but the last unset wasn't a draftable
Oh,
Oh,
Wasn't a draftable set. Kaya that's why there was that question.
it wasn't
oh,
buzzer
okay.
Freddy, or are you talking about
Y-
yung parang naka ano na, naka pre box, yung box na pre-con na lahat? Yun ba yung
yes,
sinasabi mo?
yun that was the
Oo.
last unset.
Oo, tama.
Lahat
Yung
siya parang
combined na
pre-con.
yung tatlong sets, di ba? Tama?
Yes,
Oo,
yes.
tama. Oh, yun, hindi yun
So
draftable, tama.
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that type of release for an unset. I think unsets are more fun if they're draftable. Kasi, 'di ba?
Correct.
People won't para meron kang magagawa sa kanya. If you can't use these cards for tournaments or they're not legal in the regular formats you play, might as well make it draftable para while you're opening it, you have fun.
My fun.
So
Correct.
but that's just me because I really like the limited formats.
Well, I've had my fun with with those sets, so I totally agree. I mean, although I don't play that drafts anymore, I remember having so much fun with them. And again, it's not the product for everyone, but it's nice that that Magic can kind of at least recognize the goofiness in it all and make these sets from time to time. So, but taking a step forward into more of their serious sets, the next ones are their other expansions that are non-standard. So,
Mhm.
first one is Dungeons and Dragons Battle for Baldur's Gate, and this is going to be a Commander Legend set, which means that you have a guaranteed legend in every pack, and it's going to be packs of 20, I believe, in the contents.
Mm,
And
did
again,
did
it's not a standard set, although it looks like an expansion for the recent D&D set.
did you
Yeah.
play the first version of Commander Legends? Because I think the
Yes.
idea is to get Commander players to draft also, right? So did you play
Mhm.
it as draft, or did you just open it and just
Oh, I played
find
it
the
as
cards
a
that you need?
draft,
Oh, was it
and
fun? Was it cool as a draft?
um, there are kind of like pros and cons to it. I did have fun, but you know that there's some resources that and lands that I wish that they kind of put in more, like okay, they put a commander sphere and things like that. But
Uh,
when you're playing a draft or you're playing sealed packs, sometimes you're not gonna get the right amount of colors that would meet your commander.
I see.
So they broke the rule by letting people play duplicate copies of cards. Like they're still experimenting and finding a way in order to help a player build a balanced deck. So
Okay.
this is the second shot at it. Hopefully they get it right this time. Following that, another master set. So they said that they weren't doing master sets anymore, and then they came back with double masters, and now a double masters. I'm surprised they didn't go with triple masters.
We're not gonna do master set anymore, but when we do, we're gonna make it twice as many.
But I have to say that I'm very excited for double masters. The card pool of it has always been good. In terms of the reprint and value, the only thing I'm afraid of is I swear to God, they should avoid making that VIP pack. That was absolute junk. You bought that for $100 and we're banking on like three cards. Everything else, no one cared about.
Oh my god. The money packs, I guess, right? Those are like money
No, it
packs.
was one pack for $100.
No, yeah, exactly. It's like sorry, gamble packs. Basically, you're like
Yeah.
you're hoping for like the moon when you open
I
those
think yun
packs.
yun they're that kind of uh that kind of selling is kind of like how they do it with the NBA cards, where you have really
Tama.
expensive booster packs na talagang either you hit the jackpot or it's total garbage.
Tama. Oo nga, no.
So yung medyo yun kasi it's almost in the same nature dahil cards collecting pa rin siya. So I think that was what they were experimenting with. I'm not sure if they're gonna do VIP packs again, but I think VIP packs are a little bit too extreme for the Magic community. Hindi ganun ka I think the Magic community is not that, they're not as big of a gambler as the people who are into the NBA basketball cards. Na
Mm.
talagang ano, kasi the difference with Magic and NBA is the NBA, yung value is really nandun sa cards, di ba? And with Magic is really the value is in the play. So medyo iba yung dynamics ng collectors and players. So I guess for collectors, the VIP packs are great, but for players, they're not that. It's not
Yeah, no, I
something that.
bought one VIP pack because I just really wanted to see what it was about, and
Mhm,
I don't know, never again. I will buy the boxes, I will buy the packs, but I am not getting a VIP again. That was,
mhm.
I don't know, in
Masyadong
terms of
malaki yung swing,
financial
no?
return. Yeah, no.
Masyadong malaki yung swing. Either you hit big or you you really like down so much.
Yes, I was the
Casino
latter.
fever eh. Casino fever.
So Ron actually posted a question here. D&D Baldur's Gate, will it have Commander precons? Actually, no, it won't. So it's going to be a Commander Legends set. It's really meant for a draft experience again, and it's going to be bringing back etched foils. So etched foil commanders are again making their way back into people's collections, which is
Yung
something pretty good.
yung commander precons will be discussed in a later slide, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, the last one here, which is Jumpstart. So last year's Jumpstart kind of got off on a rocky start with the print quality, but overall, a lot of people did enjoy the Jumpstart experience. Like I got to try it out in Arena, the digital version, but like it's really something nice that you can just kind of pick up and put two packs together, and you have a deck that can play against each other. It has the right mana base, and it's been balanced pretty well. So it's nice that they're going to be bringing that out again. And something that me and Sir Freddy talked about a while ago is that this is looking to be like the new direction Wizards is taking for bringing people into the hobby.
Yeah. Like an on-ramp product, right? That used
Yep.
to be the Planeswalker decks. I kind of caught the tail end of that discussion between the two of you, but you're right. Like on-ramp product.
Right now, following this, next up for the announcements is something that people are excited about. So we're going towards the Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond. So this is pretty much like the auxiliary sets of Magic that will be incorporating different IPs. And so for Warhammer 40,000, we do have a little bit of art that was shared with us, and pretty much there will be four commander decks that are going to be released for this. So no draft boxes, no set boosters. This is just pure four commander decks that will be scheduled for late 2022. There are going to, of course, be cards in this that it's all going to be themed around Warhammer 40k, which is most likely going to include like reprints that of like basic tools and cards that you need to play Commander, but it's going to be rethemed as Warhammer. And they're of course going to be introducing legendary creatures and cards that you could probably only get in this set. But there is something mentioned later on in a future slide that will hopefully put some of the Magic players who are not necessarily a Warhammer 40k fan but are completionists at ease. So, Sir Freddy, I know that you're into Warhammer. What are your thoughts on like the combining of these two IPs, so to speak?
Uh, I'm personally excited about it. I would like to have a set of these commander decks for myself. Uh, Again, this is one of those sets that's optional,
Mhm.
'di ba? So if it's your thing, then it's your thing. If it's not your thing, then it's not your thing. Uh Yun nga, sabi mo na rin, a lot of the cards would probably be reprints with the retheming. So if you already have those cards, then you don't need this set. But me being a fan of Warhammer 40k, and I like the way that like with Neon
Dynasty.
Dynasty and New Capena, na they're exploring new ways to express Magic, and I think this is a great idea. It doesn't take away anything from Magic,
Right.
'di
I
ba? It
agree.
doesn't take anything away from Magic. So hindi ko naiintindihan yung mga taong parang naiinis. Why are they making this? Are they out of ideas? If you look at the release schedule, they're overflowing with
Ang
Yeah.
ideas.
dami.
Anything,
They
di
have
ba?
too much time on their hands, actually.
So,
tayo,
so
tayo yung wala
ridiculous
ng
yung
pera. Wala na tayong pera. Pero sila ang dami
kaya
pa rin nilang ideas.
kaya ridiculous yung sinasabi nila na, oh, why are they licensing all these things? Are they running out of ideas? No, they're not. They're overflowing with ideas, in fact.
Jake, from a board game perspective, do you think having like these four commander decks, it's like isolated as like treating it like a board game that you can bring it out for a four-player or one-on-one game? Do you
Yeah.
think that it might get you interested in trying Commander out?
For sure. Because I think they've always tried to design yung groups of commander sets that come for a certain release in a year na they play well together. So this is certainly a plus na I expect that these four decks, right, will probably play well together. But the fact that they are themed around each other will be a big plus. So certainly me as a board gamer will be interested in this. And then another thing I expect to happen is people who are into Warhammer 40K will be interested and try this as a
Yeah.
product. And I think that's what really they were trying to go for, right?
Yeah.
Doing these cross IPs.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know
this is,
enough about lore, but what factions would the four commander decks possibly be?
well, obviously Space Marines.
Eldar would be one, I would think.
Yeah, probably Orcs and Chaos. Those are probably the four. But like katulad nga ng sinabi mo, if when I get these, I'll probably not use them, cut them up for spare parts for other decks. I'm gonna keep them as is. Parang standalone set siya, and then keep it as that. Parang ano siya eh. Uh, 'di ba? It's a standalone universe. And eventually, I think this doesn't close the possibilities of them making more sets based on 40 Warhammer 40K.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I have an
Its success will
industry.
definitely determine if they're gonna push through with more products for sure.
Yeah. I just have one quick thought, like an industry thought. I don't know if this was the deal that killed the Warhammer 40K deal or the Games Workshop deal with Fantasy Flight Games. Because they used to
No.
have like, or is it different, do you think, Sir Freddy?
No. Ibang reason 'yun. It's a very corporate reason, so I cannot divulge it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, come on.
It has something to do
Oh.
with uh qu- uh annual reports.
Oh,
Annual
okay.
fiscal reports.
Yeah.
I didn't expect
hitting
that.
hitting targets for their annual reports, kaya nangyari 'yun.
Ooh.
Oh.
Okay, that's a little bit of insider information. Thank you.
Yeah, I think nakwento ko na to kay Ron eh. I think I probably have told the story to Ron, but it's not something for
Something for off camera later.
yeah.
We'll talk
Yeah.
For
about
the
this.
after show. Jake,
Yeah.
please take note.
We'll note this as a reminder.
Here we go. Yes. Okay, so Rod, you have to join us afterwards. All right. So coming out of Warhammer, the next Universe Beyond announcement is the Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle Earth. So this one is interesting because it's going to have a full set release. It will have 4 commander decks and secret layer drops, plural. More than one secret layer specific for Lord of the Rings is scheduled. All of this will be coming out in 2023. So this is like some kind of future telling Marvel phase. I don't know, man. Like it's beyond 2022.
They have so much ideas, sabi nga ni Sir Freddy. Di na kasya sa 2022. Linagay nila sa 2023.
Backlog. Well, this one definitely has a lot of people interested. I am personally interested in terms of just having like my favorite characters from the Lord of the Rings franchise like turn into card form. But I'm maybe the commander decks would be something I'm more interested in. The secret layers, I'm hesitant. It depends what they're making, what they're gonna put out, because it's probably reprints anyway. And the full set, it's not gonna be standard legal. So it's just gonna be sort of like double masters and like jumpstart or something like that. That it's gonna have up to collector booster packs, I assume. So there's gonna be a lot of this. It's gonna flow, and people are gonna, I don't know, drown in Lord of the Rings for a while.
I just have one request. I just want there's one card that I want to happen. There needs to be a counter spell card that says you shall not pass.
No, it's gonna be. It's guaranteed to be a creature removal spell.
Or a creature removal spell, whatever. So every time you cast that card, you can go Gandalf and like, you shall not pass. Then cast the card, man. That'll be amazing. That's all I ask.
And please don't make Sol Ring the One Ring. There are better rings.
Oh, oo nga, no?
Sol Ring has been done to death, and this is coming from a
Yeah.
commander player. Stop. Don't.
Yes. Yun, may reprint pa nga ulit ng Soul Ring dun sa previous
Commander Black, right?
Yeah. It's like every commander set has a Soul Ring.
Yeah.
Ang
But you know what?
gagawing fog. Grabe naman to si Ron. Fog lang. You shall not pass.
I don't know, but actually, you know what? Turbo Fog is still a thing, man. So
Turbo.
Turbo, you shall
this
not
one
pass.
definitely, once we have more information, once they put out more announcements, it's very early. I mean, it's technically a year and a half ahead, so to speak, and this is going to trickle down throughout the entirety of 2023. So, once there's more information, we'll definitely be bringing this back to the show. So we are a little over an hour, so I am going to try to speed up the final topics. But following Lord of the Rings, not to downplay this, but next on the Universe Beyond is they are going to be bringing some secret layers, and these have some very specific things about them which I find very interesting. The first one is Fortnite, advertised as like your favorite dance moves in Magic reprint. So that means that there's not going to be any mechanically unique cards here, but there will be two secret layers specifically themed around Fortnite, which I don't know why they specifically chose two. And following that, there will also be a Street Fighter secret layer. They even joked about having Chun-Li and Multi-Kicker.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think that's a
But
joke.
you know what?
Yeah, that's
This
serious.
is gonna have unique cards. This is gonna be like the Walking Dead secret layer, that they are going to make Street Fighter characters into cards, but in universe versions will be added to the list. So set boosters will include magic equivalents of the Street Fighter characters. This is going to be like the Godzilla cards, that you have baby Godzilla on the top of the card and a small name of what their magic equivalent is. And this is most likely also going to be applied to the Warhammer and Lord of the Rings sets, that there will be magic equivalents added to the list.
No, well, actually, in Lord of the Rings set will be a
Unique set.
standard
yata.
legal set.
Yeah, unique set.
Oh, I thought that they said that, Universe Beyond would not be standard legal.
No, for Middle Earth, it's going to be
Ako
standard.
rin.
It's going to be a
Okay.
set.
I think
Which
we'll
is, I
check.
think, fine kasi yung setting niya and I think the theme fits in with the regular Magic. So I don't see
or or do they mean it's gonna be a full set? Like I think we'll have. I mean, it's one thing to be a standard, but I think what they were trying to say, ang pagkakaintindi ko rin was like similar to Javi, was it was gonna be a full set in the sense that there's gonna be booster boxes, they're gonna be potentially commander decks along with it. So almost like a modern Horizons type.
Right.
Supplement
That's how I understood it actually.
So, but yeah,
Okay.
if it's a standard set, that's a
yeah.
game changer. I think if it's a
I
standard set.
understood it as a standard set. I'll have to review the video again, but that's how I understood it. Na it's going to be one of the sets. So I don't know. I'll have to review the video.
We'll check. We'll check. There's so many ideas. It's so hard to keep them all straight in your
Yun nga eh.
brain.
Right. That's why I when I was preparing for this and just going through the announcement videos and like there's just so much. It's like it's kind of daunting, but we're actually at we have reached the very last set of announcements. So let me
Crazy.
just jump to that slide and pretty much for the arena format. On August 26th, which has already passed, they are bringing Jumpstart Historic Horizons, which is also bringing mechanically unique cards in digital form only. And Magic the Gathering and Netflix has joined forces to bring an animated series slated for 2022. And the announcement was delivered by,
Brandon.
yeah, well, what we should can we refer to him as Superman or what other role? Wasn't he also in
Atom.
The that
he was in another DC show, some that
Atom. Legends of Tomorrow. He
there,
was
Legends of
Atom.
Tomorrow. Atom, yeah, okay. So yeah, he's actually played several roles already in pop culture, but apparently he's gonna be Gideon.
I
so
remember him from the other like what's this? Oh, Scott Pilgrim. See, he was in
oh
Scott Pilgrim
yeah,
also.
Scott
Yeah.
Pilgrim, right? He was a bass player there, yeah.
Yep.
With his vegan superpowers.
Exactly.
I think it's really good that they tapped Brandon for this role dahil Brandon is really a Magic fan din eh. So I think that's a big plus and that leads, it alam mo pagka excited talaga yung tao dun sa role,
Oo.
he'll probably do better because
Oh yeah.
he likes Magic.
Yeah, that was
Brandon
actually
is a
interesting to hear
big
from his
nerd as well.
announcement that he was playing it since I think he said since high school or something. So that means he's been in it for years. So
Yep.
pretty good.
At saka meron siyang mga ano eh. There's Brandon is really a gamer and may mga videos siya on YouTube that he's playing Magic or he's playing board games. So maraming ganoon talaga si Brandon. So even before Henry Cavill was revealed to be a one of us, Brandon was already out
One
there.
of us.
Yeah.
One of usser before. Beef Slab. I'm excited to see him as Beef Slab. But that's the nickname of Gideon. Si
Gideon,
Beef,
yeah.
yeah. Beef Slab.
Actually, it's very interesting how many celebrities have slowly like been brought into Magic the Gathering. I mean, even just like having Post Malone playing Commander had a big
Yeah.
impact. So, like now, okay, bringing in one more person and they're actually gonna voice a character. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Nakakatawa dun, Brandon also mentioned that he also voiced one character in Arena. I don't know who. It's
Oh.
not
yeah,
Gideon
actually
daw.
he did. Yeah, he mentioned that,
So,
right?
but he didn't say who. So ngayon kailangan hanapin sino siya dun sa mga Planeswalker characters dun.
Si Flip siya yung yung mata.
Maybe, well, okay, it's definitely a planeswalker that would have some kind of voice prompt. So maybe he was the green-white planeswalker from Theros Beyond Death, or
That you can't remember the name of.
yeah, or what's the other one? Basri, the other white
Si Basri.
planeswalker.
Si Basri. Ay, may iba pa bang green white? I'm
No,
confused.
no, Basri's mono white.
Oh, okay. Sino yung green white?
I don't know. He has a very strange name, but basically he is a manufactured planeswalker, which is so odd that they built that kind of a character. I mean,
Si
Karn is
Davriel. Si Davriel. Pwede rin.
Oh no, Davriel is from a novel that was written outside of Magic lore and did really well.
Correct. I was just thinking, baka siya yun, yung nag-voice ngayon. Kasi siya na yung bago eh.
Actually, it might be him. That's a good point.
Yeah, kasi siya na yung bago eh.
Oh, here apparently they said it's wait, sorry, no,
It's
Calyx. That's the green
Calyx.
white.
Okay.
Oh, that's a green
Okay,
white
but
guy.
apparently they said it's Ral. That he's the voice of
Oh.
Ral.
The Is It one. The Is It Planeswalker.
Might be the voice of several characters actually.
All right, and for the Lord of the Rings set, so apparently it will not be standard. It will be modern and
okay.
historic only. Okay.
There you
So
go.
yeah, it is definitely going to be like Modern Horizons. That it's going to be like a full set, like Time Spiral remastered, but not standard legal. Okay. So that pretty much sums up the 2021 showcase. Lots of things to look forward to. Different like formats of Magic, different formats of media, IPs being added into Magic lore, but also being like having an in-universe equivalent. So much to look forward to. My wallet is crying.
Wala pa nga
Uh,
Innistrad eh. Hindi pa nga lumalabas Innistrad.
I know, sorry, this is so much. But I guess to wrap this up, like, what are your personal takeaways that you're looking forward to from everything that was announced, Jake?
Me, I just feel like this is every year. It seems like it's the golden age of Magic. It's like every year they make Magic a bigger and bigger game. So this year is no different. Of course, personally, I'm more excited in the draftable sets because I love draft. I love to play draft. But I'm also looking forward to all the other Universe Beyond sets like the Warhammer 40K ones. I look to collect from a collection perspective. I'm looking to buy those as well. So very excited, very positive looking towards 2022.
Nice. Sir Freddy, was there anything from what they covered in the 2021 showcase that, like got you specifically excited or that surprised you?
Uh, I think yung direction nila with the Neon Dynasty and New Capena. I think that that's really groundbreaking because that really opens up the creative space so much. So we'll see makakita tayo sa susunod ng Netrunner.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's actually a good
So
crossover.
it just opens up so many things eh. Na makikita natin na hindi na tayo limited sa universe ng Magic, 'di
Yeah.
ba? Even within the universe of Magic, it opens up the timeline to future sets and whatever, 'di ba? So that's really very exciting.
Excited
All
na ako
right.
makita naka-pinstripe pants si Jace. Yan, imagine mo na ba yun?
Actually, you know what? They might, if they do like a secret layer, that they did one with the planeswalkers were wearing adventure clothes, like Indiana Jones style.
Oo
I
nga.
wouldn't mind if they did a secret layer that the planeswalkers were done up gangster style. That would be
Oh,
interesting.
yes. So this is exactly the fresh ground that Sir Peddy's talking about. It's just so many ideas now.
Was there anything specifically that you guys saw that maybe you were disappointed at or felt that could have been done differently? Like for me, Street Fighter as a secret layer means that it's only going to be like 5 cards, which is, I guess, kind of safe. But they could also make it bigger. Look at what they're doing with Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Si Sir
Anything for
Freddy
you
muna.
guys?
Si Sir
Oh, sure.
Freddy.
Mm, ano ba yung like I said before, yung secret layers, I don't really, pay too much heed. So I think that's a good ground for them to experiment with stuff na ano talaga. And it's one of those things na really, it's an optional set, 'di ba? I
Yep.
think they learned the mistake from the Walking Dead set, and they're not going to do that again. So they're always going to be a a an equivalent, even if it first comes out as a card from in a secret lair. There's always going to be a main magic na
Yeah, the
equivalent.
in universe form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it. It's the secret layers. I really like how yung artist focus na secret layers though. I think that's a great implementation of secret layers. But
Okay, agreed.
mhm. Ayun, 'di ba nagkaroon pa nga sila ng Bob Ross?
Yeah.
Oo nga. Oo nga.
That's it was 10 basic lands and then the special card was evolving wilds.
Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect for
So
Bob.
I think that's a great implementation of secret layer.
All
Ako
right. So
naman,
Jake,
personally, nothing like to be really, really disappointed about. But I think just as with anything good, which is all of these ideas that they're starting to push forward, all of these new products, ako nararamdaman ko na rin as a player, and there's so many things to keep up on. Like Sir Freddy made a good point, and I agree with it actually. Now you're not required to catch up on everything naman as a player, but I think just mentally, just keep making sure na
Mhm.
parang you're on top of things is starting to be fatiguing. So I think from in terms of disappointment, I feel like one of the things that Magic or the design team or whoever the company needs to think about is how they are disseminating this information better down. Like
Yeah.
I think yun lang yung ano. I have no problems with all the products. It's just how do they educate their customers
Yeah.
better
There's
on the
there's an
products.
overload of information, yeah.
Correct, correct, correct. So
Nakaka-overwhelm yung pagka if you think about it, there's like, wow, there's so many things, but actually this is a product line for until 2023. So
Yeah, yeah.
exactly,
It's
kind of
not all
spread out.
happening next month.
Yeah,
exactly,
so but
exactly.
if you think about all of it right now, parang wow, this is so overwhelming. There's so many things. I don't know
Exactly,
what I
exactly.
want.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So yun nga, so they just need to think about how to one over not overwhelm at the same time. Once it becomes relevant for the players, maalala uli nila. So they'll be like,
Mm,
okay, I want to try this. This is not for me. Feeling ko right now what the players feel is this constant barrage. So they're not doing a good job of it right now, I think. But that's something they just need to work on.
All right. So I guess there with that we kind of bring the episode to a close. And any final thoughts, Sir Freddy?
mm, I guess I'm excited with some, really excited with some of the stuff that's coming up. Uh, with the sets, I'm really excited about New Capena, particularly. Talagang dun ako talagang parang kasi talagang question
Interesting.
mark sa akin yun eh, 'di ba?
Yeah, it's new.
Excited about Warhammer 40K. Uh, and again, uulitin ko yung parang the licensed products, the secret layers, don't let those things overwhelm you. They're not real expansions. And a lot of these things are optionals, 'di ba? And you play Magic your way, how you want to play it, and ganun lang, 'di ba? So don't get too overwhelmed. Not every single product is a must for you and how you play. So ganun lang. And just sharing the excitement of some people, even if it's not for me, I'll be excited for somebody else, 'di ba?
Yeah, it's very true, very true. Jake, any thoughts? Final thoughts
Uh,
before we close out?
Very excited. I think this is always always golden age of Magic. It's the best time to be a Magic player right now. Best time to get into the game. They're really making it easy for people to get into the game. With all the different teams, I'm looking forward to hopefully yung one time na nag-Kaldheim kami, pre-release, nag-costume kami ng Viking. So na excited ako. Ano kaya costume ko pag pag nag-Innistrad? Ano kaya costume ko kapag nag-New Cape na magpi-pinstripe pants ba ako? Parang ganun. So, very excited. Let's look forward to the next releases of Magic in
Yep.
2023.
I enjoyed like last year's announcement for like the Strixhaven School of Magic that we're going to be doing color pairing again and like
Yeah.
retooling the guilds, so to speak. And then Kaldheim, I'm a sucker for Vikings, so
Yeah, yeah,
like I
yeah.
and even like Ixalan, I wanted to be a fan of pirates, but it wasn't really a pirate set. But this
Yeah.
time around, okay, I'm not really a Kamigawa fan, but Cyberpunk, hell yes, I'm on board. The new Capena, I'm on board. Bringing back Dominaria and the Brothers War, like so. A lot of what they decided to go with this time around has my attention, so I'm really looking forward to it. And with that, thank you everyone for joining Sunday Night Magic. This is our longest episode ever. Before we go, any plugs? Jake, I know you just recently did the news, but for those that are watching the show, quick plug.
Everyone in the VP network, we have a new show for that's about board game news every 2 weeks. So we had that new show last week. So the next show will be next week Wednesday. So tune in. Three of us are hosts there: myself, Denmark, and Ron, and we'll catch you on that show every Wednesday, every
Awesome.
other
Sir
Wednesday.
Freddy, any plugs?
Yung next larong atin episode under variable play, first time we'll have a guest. This guy's the uh, game developer for Folded Wishes. So
Oh,
so this would
Uy.
be interesting. You'll get not you'll get the point of view from a developer, not a designer. Although he's also a designer, so this will be an interesting episode. So watch for that. Also, meron akong personal YouTube page.
Yes.
Yun!
Yeah.
Yung F
We
that.
have subscribed.
It's not about gaming, it's about other stuff. If you just want to listen to my random musings about traffic and stuff like that. Okay.
Well,
Sir,
awesome.
anong
So,
anong anong
what's
pangalan
the
ng
name of the
YouTube
channel?
page? Anong
F
pangalan?
dot. F
Yeah,
dot binigay ni ano, sino ba yung nagbigay ng pangalan?
Anong spelling, Sir Freddy?
KO.
F lang.
F lang, that's that? F?
Si Keo ba nagbigay nung
I
name?
think so. I think that was in the chat.
Okay.
If I'm not
No, I think it
mistaken.
was Joshua.
Oh,
Ah,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, si Joshua. Si Keo lang yung ano, ano tawag
Taga-support.
dito? Yung campaign for to make that channel.
Well, definitely, people should check that out when they have the time. And you guys, thank you so much for making it to the show tonight. That's why I really wanted to kind of geek out with people that I know would be super excited about upcoming Magic sets as well. We'll be back next Sunday. I'm going to be covering again my continuous series of my commander recommendations for the next guild color. I think I'm going to go with Gruel, red green, but we'll see if that changes. Just look out for some announcements. And with that, we bring the episode to a close. Thank you to everyone that was viewing, shared their comments and opinions. Thank you for some of the lessons that we picked up, for people also correcting us on some of the details that we shared. Till next time, everyone, keep gaming.
Okay, good night.